The first time Herr Kreutzer called me a laughingstock at the shop, I almost believed him. It was a cold, bitter March morning in Berlin. Spring was just a rumor, and the damp air gnawed at my bones as I slipped through the workshop door, boots squeaking on warped wooden floors. The others were already at their benches, hunched over cabinets and battered chairs, the air thick with dust and the rhythm of scraping planes. I hung my worn coat, hands numb, and tried to move quietly past Kreutzer. He stood at the central bench, frowning over an old clock case. I nearly made it before I tripped on a box of wood offcuts. "Ah, finally, our maestro graces us," he said, his voice loud enough for everyone. "Will we be treated to a concerto this morning?" A few snickers followed. I forced a smile, towing the offcuts back into place, masking my embarrassment. He waved a gear at the room. "Keep him away from the carving tools, gentlemen, or he'll have us all building violins while the customers grow old waiting." I crouched, picking up splinters, keeping my eyes down. Lucas, the youngest apprentice, mock-conducted with his chisel, humming the opening of Beethoven's Fifth. The laughter got louder. I told myself to endure, no point in responding, just breathe, let it pass. Kreutzer kept going. "When you're done serenading the wood, sweep the back room, Lindner. Some of us have real work." I swept alone, jaw tight. The shame burned, but I swallowed it. I'd heard it all before, the jokes about my fantasy, the snide remarks about loving music more than money. I dreamed of building violins, violas, guitars, of carving sound out of maple, measuring each curve until a note rang clear. But for most people in East Berlin, dreams like that were barely more than foolishness. Furniture made money. Instruments, daydreams at best. When I told my family I wanted to be a luthier, my brother Karl had just laughed. "Nobody's getting rich building fiddles, Stefan. You want to eat, keep making tables." That evening, trudging through rain and coal smoke, all I wanted was for home to be gentler. But in our small apartment, my mother greeted me with a sigh. "You forgot the sauerkraut," she said, although I knew the disappointment ran deeper. She was always comparing me to someone's son who had a steady job. I tried to sound convincing. "Work ran late. Kreutzer needed help with the Moritz commission." She shook her head. "Kreutzer only needs someone to mock, don't let him." Karl, sprawled by the radio, didn't bother to look up. "Still dreaming, Stefan," he said. "Nobody pays luthiers anything, face it." "Let him be," my mother said softly, but she barely tried. After dinner, I retreated to my room. Tucked under my mattress were hand-drawn sketches. Scrolls, F-holes, penciled measurements. Late at night, I'd run my hands along the paper and imagine the sound those instruments would make, but daylight always turned dreams brittle. A year dragged by. Day after day, the same mockery at the shop, the same doubt at home. Still, I scraped together what hope I could. I collected wood scraps from garbage piles, bought used books from flea markets, practiced carving in secret. The results weren't pretty, clumsy scrolls, awkward joints, but every night I got a bit closer. Sometimes I'd sneak a chance to repair a student's broken cello or patch up a music stand. Kreutzer would shake his head, muttering so only I could hear, "Can't even polish a piano leg and wants to make violins." I learned to clench my teeth and keep on. Patience is a heavy thing, a slow, grinding ache that grows sharper with every slight, but it meant I never let go. One winter night, my mother found me hunched over a misshapen violin cobbled together from discarded wood. My fingers ached from sounding. "It's late, Stefan." "I know." She hovered, watching me work. "Will it ever be good enough?" I hesitated, tracing the rough outline. "Maybe not, but I have to try." She left, her silence full of doubt. I stayed up working by that single bulb until my eyes blurred. Winter hardened. The city was unsympathetic. Rent loomed, the cold crept in, and Kreutzer's jabs bit deeper. My family's patience wore thinner. Still, I kept building 4 crude violins, none beautiful, but each a little closer. One day my friend Max, a student who played for coins in the U-Bahn, agreed to try one. He examined the violin, skeptical. "Think it'll survive a whole piece?" "Give it a chance," I replied, uncertain. He played a few notes. The sound was unpolished, a little coarse, but something flickered in its rawness. Max grinned. "It's got heart." "Better than half the junk I've played." That small moment was a spark. With Max's help, I met Frau Richter, a stern teacher from the conservatory. She eyed my violin with skepticism. She played a short phrase, eyelids fluttering. Her verdict was honest. "It's rough, but there's something in the tone. You listen to the wood, learn properly. Go see Otto Bergmann in Schöneberg, he might teach you." The next week, my nerves rattling, I caught the S-Bahn across Berlin. Bergmann's shop smelled of varnish and old secrets. He took my patched-together violin, tested it, then nodded thoughtfully. "It's ugly but not hopeless," he said. "I'll take you 2 mornings a week. Sweep, watch, learn. Don't talk too much." I accepted on the spot. Those mornings in Bergmann's shop changed my life. Otto spoke little, he let the work teach. Through aching patience, I learned the subtleties, how the right arch could coax out a voice, how every gram of spruce mattered. "Listen to the wood, Stefan, it will teach you more than I can." I scraped by, sharing a rented room nearby, still working at Kreutzer's in the afternoons. Every spare mark went to wood and glue. At home, my father just frowned at my stained hands. Karl mocked, my mother watched with a silent, shifting hope. Years slipped past. In Otto's dusty shop, I learned the art and science. My failures were frequent, but each one sharpened my resolve. Eventually, I crafted my first full violin, a little rough but with a bright, ringing voice. I built a viola next. When Otto nodded in approval, I savored it. Berlin changed too. Old workshops shut down, new music sounded from street corners. One rainy day, Frau Richter introduced me to the conservatory director. He accepted a violin, tested it, then spread the word. Orders trickled in. My hands, once ridiculed, were now sought after by young musicians. I rented a tiny attic above Kreuzberg. The bench barely fit, but each finished instrument hung from the window, catching the city's weak sun. Clients ranged from students to teachers. I failed often, but every hard-won success fed my hope. Then, one afternoon, a traveling soloist, Andrzej Novak, arrived in crisis. His Italian violin cracked before a performance. I worked through the night repairing it. At rehearsal, he played and nodded impressed. "Who taught you?" he asked. I told him. He gave a small, understanding smile and left his card. A week later, a carefully sealed letter arrived. Novak wanted a custom violin for his next tour, a rare, risky chance. I worked months on that instrument, sometimes not eating so I could buy better maple. I poured every lesson, every heartbreak into it. When Novak arrived to test it, his first notes filled the shop. He looked up, beaming. "This is Berlin, mellow, fierce, stubborn, it's alive." After that, commissions increased. I managed to save enough to rent a real shopfront in Neukölln, a sunlit, cluttered place filled with workbenches and that faint, lovely smell of resin and hope. Success came slowly, piece by piece, but some scars didn't fade. At home, my father stayed distant, calm, mute. Only my mother's calls, rare but proud, hinted they'd noticed my world had shifted. The real moment I knew the past had changed came almost a decade after my beginnings. I was polishing a cello in the autumn light when Kreutzer called. His voice was gruff, unfamiliar with humility. "A client of mine needs a cello, heard you're the one to see. Is that true?" My hand shook but my voice was steady. "Yes, my shop is open all week." Saturday afternoon, Kreutzer stepped into my shop, a neatly dressed client beside him. He tried masking his awe, but his eyes gave him away. They examined the cello. The client tested a few resonant notes, the sound filling the room, lush and new. The client brushed a tear from his cheek. "I'll take it. Do you sign each one?" I nodded. Kreutzer lingered, searching for words. His voice softened. "Congratulations, Stefan, you surprised us." After they left, I walked out into the brisk Berlin air, the setting sun glowing against city walls. On impulse, I went home, up the old stairwell, heart pounding. My mother opened the door, looking older but more at ease. "Stefan." In silence, I laid a violin, one of my first since reworked, on the table. "For you." She lifted it, tears shining in her eyes. "We see you now," she whispered. Karl, lazy as ever, shrugged. "Guess you proved us wrong." Even my father looked up, nodded approval at last. That night I walked home, heart full. The city was unchanged, noisy, indifferent, but as I crossed Sonnenallee I listened and every corner echoed with music, my music at last.